Hi there, I'm Tiffany Sinclair. I'm the Resident and Associate Society American College of Surgeon Liaison to the Women in Surgery Committee. And we're putting together a project asking some of our surgical leaders what they wish they would have known when they started out in their career. So today we have Dr. Mary Klingensmith joining us.
Thanks, Dr. Sinclair. So my name is Mary Klingensmith. My current position is as Senior Vice President for Accreditation at the ACGME. But prior to moving to ACGME 1 year ago, I was 22 years at Washington University in St. Louis, where I was Residency Program Director and then Vice Chair for Education and Associate Dean at the medical school. So maybe no surprise, my career path has been very education focused. I wish younger me had some of the advice I'd like to impart today about what it might be like if you were considering a path as a surgeon educator.
So traditionally, education hasn't been seen as one of the primary ways to rise within the academic ranks, but you have clearly very successfully done so. Here are the pearls of wisdom you have about how you got where you are and what we can tell our future surgeon educators to do.
Yeah, so I would say that there are two main things that I wish I had known when I was getting started out. And the first is, well, first of all, I'll say like the overarching theme is that advancement, especially in academic medicine on education pathways, is absolutely doable and much more feasible now and much more recognized now by most academic institutions than it was when I was getting started out 22 plus years ago. So two things that I think if you're thinking about a career on an education path that I would advise you to consider. And the first is take mean steps, whatever you can do to get some sort of titled position in education in a department of surgery. And what I mean by that is, ideally, eventually, perhaps something like a program director in surgery position, but there's only one of those in a department, but there are many other titled positions, things like rotation director for the medical students. And you may think that sounds like, why would I want to do that? Or what kind of reason might there be behind that? But it's a couple. One is, by taking that responsibility, it can be sort of a low stakes way to try on whether you like education administration and whether you really see this as a passion that you want to continue with and grow in your career. And if you are, say, director of medical student education for your rotation, for your service, you often get invited to like medical education committee meetings. They might just be the departmental based meetings, but they might even be the ones at the medical school. And that's how your network starts to grow. And this is the sort of pathway that I took. I didn't know that I should be intentional about that, but that was one of the things that I did. Tip number one, seek some sort of titled position in education.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And I think it's nice that it sort of gives a very direct goal as opposed to a lot of times, I think as a young surgeon myself, the advice you get is very nebulous. So that's a nice, precise goal that someone can really work towards and achieve, especially early in their career.
Second pearl is all of the things you do that might have some education focus, keep track of. When I was getting started out 22 years ago, it was literally like pieces of paper I was sticking in a file folder on my desk. But now if I were trying to do this from the get-go, it would be, setting up some files on my computer where I can literally just slide emails into. I can, if I have an evaluation from a lecture I gave to residents, I can slide that in there. So keeping all of those little pieces of paper, so to speak, that little paper trail of all the activities you do will become really important when you're trying to go up for promotion on an education track. Most places now do have education tracks for academic promotion, and you would need to assemble an additional piece to your CV that's called a clinician educator portfolio, or CEP. And there are a whole bunch of different templates out there for CEP documents. You can just Google clinician educator portfolio and you'll probably come up with some great ones. But starting to sort of build that portfolio of all of your educational activities is really important. It should be everything from what actual things you did. I gave a lecture to the students this day. I gave a lecture to the EMT trainees this day. But then any evaluations you have of any of the work that you do, save all of that stuff too, because literally promotion and tenure committees want to see some of that actual, like from the evaluator evaluations. So just save all that stuff from the get-go, and then you can assemble it into a nice packet when the time comes.
also very helpful, because I think, we get evaluations from medical students, we check them in our email, we delete them or archive them, and we never think about them again. So having to go back and search for that stuff, I'm sure it can be
Yeah.
quite challenging. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for all of your pearls of wisdom. Any last words of advice that you want to
I will
share?
just say no real advice, only just encouragement and acknowledgement that education careers are so incredibly satisfying. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it 1,000 times over again. I'm excited that there are probably a bunch of people still yet to come in surgical careers who will do really, really great transformative work in education. And it's a really fulfilling line of work. So good luck to everybody.